All right, guys, Sanch here. Welcome back to another episode on the Bodybuilding News Network, specifically another episode of Bodybuilding Today. I know you guys have really enjoyed this series, so we're going to keep it going. We're going to go ahead and start off with some of the competitors that are getting ready for both the Arnold Classic and the Mr. Olympia. We're also going to talk about some other competitors that have won shows recently, not to include the NPC guys, because I want to give them their dedicated show in the weekly recap for the NPC. But let's go ahead and start off with Ruff Diesel, ifbb Pro Classic Physique. He placed second at last year's the 2020 Mr. Olympia. Like I said, in the Classic Physique. And he's been posting some physique updates that are, man, it's one of those physiques. I wonder how it's going to fill out, because he still hasn't hit the weight cap for Classic. He still has a lot of room to grow into his physique. And when you think about what Classic Physique is, you think of Ruff Diesel. And I've been a casual fan of Terrence for a while now. I remember when he was still in the Air Force and I would watch him do his vlogs in his car. I remember back in the day watching those. And then, through the years, he's really blown up and he's gotten really popular. He's been very successful in the Classic Physique. And now he's one of those forerunners to potentially win the 2021 Mr. Olympia. But not to say that Chris Bumstead doesn't have anything to say about that. And that's exactly who we're going to talk about next. Obviously, Chris Bumstead, or C-Bum, probably one of the most popular pros in our sport. He is the reigning Classic Physique Mr. Olympia in 2020, coming into the 2021 Mr. Olympia Classic Physique division. And there's been, I've seen plenty of super delicious thumbnails, so I'm not going to do that to you guys. You deserve better. But his physique speaks for itself. I really enjoyed how I believe it was Buys and Tries was posting on their Instagram. Buys and Tries, it's a comparison bodybuilding channel. But I love what they were talking about when Jay Cutler, obviously Jay Cutler, ifbb Pro, four-time Mr. Olympian. I don't know what I need to tell you guys, but I'm just going to let you guys know that information. He posted something on Instagram talking about how Jay Cutler could see Chris Bumstead being a very competitive open bodybuilder. Now, if you haven't seen my athlete spotlight video on Chris Bumstead, check out the channel. That video is in there. I talked about how Chris Bumstead, when he was coming up in the NPC, in the Canadian Federation, and then even into his early bodybuilding career, there was no Classic Physique. So actually it lined up pretty perfectly with him. I don't even think he had to compete in an open show. He got his pro card in men's open bodybuilding, and then Classic Physique was announced that very following year. So Chris Bumstead was able to transition perfectly from NPC into a new pro, perfectly into that new bodybuilding division, which is Classic Physique. And since then, Chris Bumstead has, for the most part, dominated, going into the first call out in his first year of competing at the Mr. Olympia, winning his first show. It's really the tale of the tape here. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing Chris do a splash into an open show, but honestly, if he's going to be dominating the Classic Physique division, there's no reason to tarnish that legacy with a loss or with a lackluster performance in the open class. Now, I think he could do something like a Flex Lewis, and eventually, maybe after 6 or 7 Classic Physique Olympia wins, he could transition to something like open or 212. But he's a taller guy, so probably not 212. But he could make that transition to open, maybe 5, maybe 6 years down the road. But let me know in the comment sections below how you guys would feel about Chris Bumstead switching to the open class in the future, not right now. Next up, another ifbb Pro with a massive following is Hadi Choopan, or Hadi Choopan. I've heard it 2 different ways. Another competitor that's going to be the favorite to place very, very well at this year's 2021 Mr. Olympia in the men's open category. He is a recent transition from 212 to open just 3 years ago, I believe it was. And then he hopped into the Vancouver Pro, qualified, jumped into men's open, and placed in that top 6. So I think he's definitely going to be a favorite to do very well at the Olympia. I know Nick Miller, he's talked about how he wants to see Hadi win the Olympia and how he is going to be a future Mr. Olympian. I don't have anything against that. I think that's a very it's not very much of a bold prediction. I think it's a good prediction. But the real question is, when is he going to win the Olympia? And is there going to be any competitors that are going to stand in his way, especially when we start looking at people like Nick Walker? And although a lot of people have a lot of criticism, even Regan Grimes, I think, is making a statement for himself with these new physique updates as we transition. Regan Grimes looking amazing. And I think I've said it before. Now, when we had the Romania Pro and Regan won, I wasn't too impressed with the package that he brought. I thought that the conditioning was very lackluster. And I looked at the photos, I looked at the videos. There's only so much we can do from the desktop side of bodybuilding, plug to Xavier. But there's only so much we can do from the seat that we're sitting in. If he doesn't look very impressive in the videos, if he doesn't look very impressive in the footage, there's not much we can do. But I think that he has a very impressive physique. He's probably going to be, as my microphone does its own thing, he's probably going to be one of those guys that if he nails the conditioning or the judges give him a look, I don't think he got a good look last year at the Olympia. If he nails the conditioning and he gets a good look from the judges, I could see Regan Grimes doing very well at this Olympia. I think he could be a dark horse to place in that top 10 this year, making a big improvement for himself. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about that prediction. There are several new competitors coming into this year's Mr. Olympia. And there's also a lot of people that were at last year's Mr. Olympia that won't be here this year. So either for one reason or the other, retirement or didn't qualify. So it's really up in the air. A lot of these placings, anything outside of the top 10 is going to be really up in the air. And even anything within the top 10 is going to be, very, very difficult to predict. But let me know how you guys are feeling about Regan Grimes, Hadi Choopan. How do you guys think those two guys are going to place at this year's Mr. Olympia? And lastly, for another Olympia prediction, Hunter Labrada has been posting some more physique updates. Now, I love what Hunter is doing in his camp with the physique updates, with the gym footage. I think that this is going to be the standard for how bodybuilding competitors are going to be presenting their physiques in the near future, how they're going to be presenting themselves on social media. I love what Hunter's doing here. I love what his camp's doing. I want to see this continue. And I want to see other sports, or at least other athletes in our sport following suit. If we had somebody like a Cedric McMillan posting the kind of content and the kind of frequency that someone like a Hunter Labrada is doing, I think that would actually help out Cedric a lot with his prep. He doesn't post a lot, and he has one of those physiques that's just world class. It's just sometimes he misses the conditioning. More times than not, he misses on conditioning, and that's what really holds him back. But a lot of these guys, they're going to do well at the Olympia, especially when we start looking at these young bloods. Nick Walker, Hunter Labrada, and even someone like Ian is young blood, and they're coming up in this sport. They're winning shows. They've got a lot of hype on them, and I think they're going to do really well. And lastly, make sure you guys check out the Greg Wayne interview we just had. He is also competing at the North Americans this weekend. So support bodybuilding, support the athletes. Check out these videos, check out their channels, buy their merch, buy their t-shirts, buy their beanies and their branded socks or whatever they have. But that'll do it for another episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I tried to keep it sweet and short, so I hope you enjoyed it. My name's Sanch, your host. We are still getting support from peakperformancelabs.ca. You can use Sanch10 at checkout if you guys want to check out that brand. They have pre-workouts, intro workouts. They have a post-workout called Nuclear Power, which I've heard a lot of great reviews about. And they also have some apparel and merch. So check them out if you are in the apparel, merch, and supplement market. If you guys need to stock up for the month, I recommend you do so. But that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching another video. Let me know if you guys want to see something specific in the comment sections below, and tag me on Instagram if you guys want to see your favorite athlete featured on the next episode of Bodybuilding Today. My name's Sanch, like I said, and I'll see you guys in the next one.